It's summertime, and what better way to have fun than creating these awesome balloon covers with your kids and your grandkids? Stay tuned! Hi y'all, this is Melissa at Mtn Quilting, and today we're going to learn how to make the best beach ball ever, a balloon cover. So in order to make the best beach ball ever, we need to get our supplies together. The first thing we need is our pattern, and this is by Mtn. They provided the best beach ball pattern. You'll also need about 3 fat quarters. We have these kits already done for you here at the store. And I like to use template plastic because it helps me reuse and redo it more than once. So I have my template plastic here. You'll also need a good pair of scissors and some pins. And of course, when it's all said and done, you'll need to have the balloon as well. So let's get started. The first thing you want to use is, we're going to use the pattern by Mtn. It's called the Best Beach Ball. We're also using the 12-inch balloon is what we're including in our kits. So this is where the template plastic comes in real handy. You take it and of course you trace over your pattern to get your template size, so that way you can use it over and over again. It also calls for a hexie, so I did that, trace that as well. So you're going to get your fabric, follow the pattern, make sure you read through it real well. It tells you to cut your fabric on the fold. So, and that's how the template's going to be used. And I've already done this, but I'm going to show you how that's done. So you take your fabric and then you're going to lay your template on top, and then you're just going to cut around the template. So this particular ball has 6 sides. So we need 6 different colors, or just a combination of colors. If you want to make it all the same color, doesn't matter. So that's what you need to get started with. So I've got all my pieces already cut out. So now we're going to start sewing these together. And what I have found to make it a lot easier, because these are curved pieces, is I like to press my piece in half, and I do all of them like that. So that way you'll know where the center mark is. When you're doing a curved piece, you always want to line up your centers first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my other sides to my ball and open it up. And I'm going to align my 2 center marks where I have ironed them. And I'm going to put a pin in it. All right, the next thing you need to do is you want to pin the other side, the sides as well. So I go from the middle first, and then I'm going to pin one side. And then I'm going to go to the other side and pin it. All right, next step is you're going to take this to the sewing machine, and you're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way around this one side. Okay, let's go do that. Okay, we're at the sewing machine. We're getting ready to sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way around. The pattern calls for you to start about a 1/4 inch down from the top, and I found that it was easier if I just go ahead and start at the top. I don't really need that extra allowance there to attach my hexie. Also, I want to back stitch over top of this end here, because it is going to have a little pressure on it, and so you want to make sure it's nice and secured. So we're going to do our 1/4 inch seam allowance here, and I'm going to sew just a little bit, and then I'm going to back it up just so that I can have that good and secure stitch. Remember, don't ever sew over pins, because we never do that, right? Yeah, right. All right, I finished sewing the 1/4 inch seam from one end to the other, and I'm going to do this for all 6 pieces. The instructions said to press open your seams. I really didn't feel a need. I didn't press mine open. They work out just fine, but if you want to, you can press open your seams between each sewing. So I'm going to go ahead and sew all of these around, and then I'll show you the next step. Stay tuned. All right, now that we have finished sewing all 6 sides together, we're now going to attach our top and our bottom. And I wanted to show you the way that I did the top and bottom on this. It's a little bit different than what the pattern calls for, and I'll show you why. So in one of my older versions of the balloon cover, the balloon goes inside here and then you blow it up. But if you look, no parts of the balloon is showing. The way that the pattern has you to do it, it kind of leaves a little opening here, and what we want to do is we want to make this a safe toy for your kids and even your puppies and animals to play with. So we want to try to get all of our balloon covered up. So I kind of played with the pattern a little bit, and I just tweaked it some just so that we don't have that opening there. So if you take your template, it asks you to cut out 3 of these hexagons, and I've already done that. And then the instructions is it has you to sew 2 hexagons together and you have an opening in the middle. But what I decided to do was I decided to fold it under and create a straight seam here, and then I'm going to overlap these so that they will equal the size of my hexagon, and I'll show you right here. So here's my hexagon. This is my template. And if you notice, I had 2 of these. So what I decided to do is I went ahead and put a straight seam here so there's no raw edges showing. And then I'm going to make sure that this is going to equal when I put my 2 pieces together. But they're slightly overlapping, so if you can see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little seam on both sides of this to hold it together, and then it's going to be just like my full hexagon. That way when I want to put my balloon in, I can kind of have a place that's going to be hidden just like you see here, so that all parts of my balloon is covered up. Alright, the way that you do this, the way that you put your ends on, is you want to take your corners and you're going to match them up to your seams. Again, I did not press my seams open. I just left them like this. It works just fine. So you're going to put right sides together, and I would highly recommend that you pin these together. So I'm going to line up my places here, and then I'm going to put a little pin in it, and I'm going to sew it. And I'm going to do this all the way around, and I'll do this to both sides as well. And don't worry, don't fret so much about this. This is a fun project. Do the best you can to get everything lined up. If it doesn't line up exactly, it's okay. It's still going to work. No worries. Okay, I've got all my sides pinned. Now we're going to head over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew all of these sides together on your sewing machine, having a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you want to make sure that you have your needle down position so that when you stop you can pivot and you won't have any gaps in that. And you're going to do this to both sides. You're going to have it on the top and the bottom. So let's go take care of that. Okay, so we're at the sewing machine. We're going to add our tops and our bottom to our ball here, and I went ahead and just stitched along the edge of this one so it can hold it together to make it easier for me to sew it on the ends. So let's get started. Again, it's a 1/4 inch seam. I've already pinned everything down, and we're going to sew each corner. What's really helpful with this is if you have a needle down option on your sewing machine, so that way that when the needle stops, it'll be with the needle down. And again, you don't need to go real fast. So I'm going to stop there, needle's down position, and I'm going to flip it over. And then I'm going to sew this side. And I'm just going to do this all the way around. Okay, you're going to do the same thing for the other side, and then I'll meet you back at the cutting table. So now that we have both of our ends sewed on, all we got to do now is turn it inside out. So again, remember we have a little hole here, so you're just going to flip it inside out. All right, and so here's part of our balloon. So the next step will be or our balloon cover. The next thing we need to do is we need to put in our balloon, and we'll inflate the area. Okay, so we got it inflated. It looks nice. We're going to tie it off. This is also a good chance to check all your seams are good and sewed together. We're going to tie it off, and we're going to keep tying it off. All right, and then we're going to tuck in our edges here, like that. And there you got it. There's your balloon cover. Got the best beach ball out there. Wasn't this a fun project? So now grab your kids and your grandkids and come by the shop and pick up your kit and get sewing away and have fun.